There's an old saying that says money can buy you almost anything. And the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is a prime example of this. What's going on, everyone? My name is Zeke Tufly, and today we're going to be diving into the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. If you've been paying attention to the news lately, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, the recent killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has everyone on the news and social media talking 24/7. There are high-profile interviews, hot takes, and endless speculations and assumption about what really happened and who was the real killer. Well, let's just say the alleged killer is all over your feeds. He is praised as a hero. He's all over social media, TV, news apps, yada, yada, yada.
In some dark corners, this killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero.
All right, first of all, let's be completely 100% real here, guys. Murders like this happen 24/7. 365 days a week in all around the world, not just in America. We have people dying overseas in Ukraine, the Middle East, everywhere in the world, not just in America. If you live in America, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you live in any major city in America, you know shooting and murders like this happen all the time, and it never ever gets talked about. It never gets talked about on the news. Well, maybe a little bit. Unless, maybe it's a huge school shooting or a huge mass shooting. It's never gotten talked about. Unless, you're the big head of a CEO of the largest corporation in the healthcare industry in America. Guys, listen, I grew up next to Baltimore. I grew up in the suburbs of Baltimore. When I was younger, my mom used to work at Johns Hopkins, and every day we would drive through the neighborhoods of downtown Baltimore, and let me just tell you, it is not a fun scene to see. It is really not a fun scene to see. There will be a war going on every other day we come back from my mom's job. Honestly, I'm just glad that I didn't actually grow up in the Baltimore city. I grew up in like the nicer parts, the suburbs, what I would like to put it. I grew up in Howard County, which is like probably one of the best neighborhoods in the state of Maryland, but it's right on the edge of Baltimore County. So I know exactly like the stuff like this that happen every single day, and it's not talked about on the news at all. Meanwhile, we have the CEO of the biggest healthcare company in the United States die, and in mere hours, it's all over the internet. Now, I know why this is a big deal. Well, because first of all, he is the CEO of the biggest health company in the United States. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of shockwaves sent throughout the whole company and how it's going to be structured and how people's opinion on the healthcare industry are going to be as soon as he dies. Obviously, that is going to play a huge role into everything here. But it's just crazy to me that how the justice system moves so swiftly and fast for a CEO, and for us regular average folks, it's slow as a snail. It takes years or sometimes even decades to solve a case. I remember this one time back in my sophomore year of college, I was selling a pair of Jordans. I like to collect shoes, so my friend actually traded me with some Jordans, and I was planning on selling them. Well, long story short, I got robbed gunpoint. Until this day, I have not a single clue of who robbed me, and also if they ever found the guy.
Hundreds of tips are pouring in, thousands of police officers working the case.
A rich CEO gets a manhunt. What about all the poor people that are killed every single day? They don't get lucky enough to get justice. This just shows you the class difference between the elites and the average. On platforms everywhere from Twitter to niche online platforms like Reddit, YouTube, social media platforms, everyone's talking about Brian Thompson's death. But the tone towards his death is kind of jarring. So instead of mourning his death as a condemnation of the murderer, a vast majority of the public opinion on him is negative. And most of the audience and the reactions of social media are kind of celebrating his death. So the point of this the point to Brian Thompson's work life and how he ran a massive healthcare corporation who is allegedly taking advantage of the American people's money. It's been said that United Healthcare denial rates ever since he was the CEO have spiked up to 30%. And for those of you guys who are not from the US, for those of you guys who are watching from other parts of the world, well, if you know, America has the most expensive healthcare in the entire world. And yet, we're ranked in the 40s in terms of life expectancy. So imagine you get diagnosed with a disease, such as serious ones, such as cancer or maybe HIV or some sort of a very serious infectious disease. And you've been paying thousands of dollars every single year for health insurance just to get denied at the doctor's office for coverage. Imagine how frustrating and heartfelt that is. Guys, I can personally relate to this because my father got really sick from an infection 2 years ago. It was a very personal story that I tend to share later next month. But long story short, he had a very severe infection that kind of stemmed from the liver. But thankfully, we did not have United Healthcare. We had Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they fully covered his health insurance and kept his deductible around $8,000, which I think was pretty dope of them. Hey man, shout out to Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is why mostly the public has been viewing Brian Thompson's killing as a poetic justice, and they've been celebrating the killer. There's been movements online talking about freeing the killer, Luigi Mangione, everywhere. People even talking about paying for his attorney fees, paying for all his associate fees, even starting a fundraiser for him to get him out of jail. Also, another fun fact, I actually know the exact neighborhood he grew up in. So if you guys didn't know, he actually came from a Maryland family, and I also grew up in Maryland, so we were like side by side next to each other. The school he went to, I know exactly what private school he went to. I'm not going to put that out, but the private school went to is a very prestigious school, not in the entire state, but in the entire country. And we're talking about the people who graduate that school going to top Ivy League schools, top schools like Stanford, MIT, Harvard, Yale, all that kind of stuff. And they end up graduating, becoming very successful. They already have well-established families, and their family background is very prestigious and wealthy. So this person is like the last person I would expect to do something like this. So it is already very shocking to me how someone with such a perfect background is able to be convinced into doing such things. He must have witnessed some sort of real crazy trauma that motivated him to do such things. But you know what else I find kind of strange? I find kind of strange how the backpack with every single thing still inside the backpack and all the evidence still together gets thrown into a river right next to the scene.
Divers searching a Central Park pond. They hope to find the gun used in the shooting and the bicycle the suspect got away on. Near the pond, investigators found this backpack linked to the shooter. In it, police sources tell us, a jacket and Monopoly money.
Well, that's something I just feel very, very strange about. I don't know about you guys, but you know, any smart criminal would try to dispose of the evidence immediately, not by throwing it into the river, knowing well that the feds may try to recover it. And even with everything intact, the manifesto, the ghost gun, the fake ID, everything's still in the backpack. To me, that just sounds kind of sus. I don't know about you guys, but that's a very, very big red flag to me. I'm not saying that the alleged killer is not the killer. I'm just saying that there may be more to the story than meets the eye. And as if the story couldn't get any more weirder, let's talk about how this dude actually got caught. It's not by the feds, it's not by the FBI, but by a McDonald's worker. Guys, a McDonald's worker. Yes, I'm for real. How do you get caught by a McDonald's worker? McDonald's couldn't even get my order right, and they're out here being detectives. Like, what? That just seems so unreal to me.
After an extensive manhunt, it was a worker at an Altoona McDonald's who recognized the murder suspect from surveillance photos and called police.
Hey, if you end up going to hospital, don't start blaming him for for denying your health insurance. And guys, you guys know what's even more crazy about this whole situation is that the McDonald's worker who snitched on him might never see the reward they were promised. You see, if I link to you guys the report on apnews.com, it states that the FBI reward program offers a reward up to $50,000 with information leading to an arrest and conviction. Keyword conviction, which means they'll have to take time to go through legal court and trials and everything to convict him in order for him to receive the reward. And sometimes they might even come with some bullshit excuse of saying, oh, you did this, you did that, we're not going to give you the full amount. They do that all the time, just like the health insurance companies. And if we're going to look at the NYPD side of things, it states that the tip line usually offers up to $3,500 for information leading up to an arrest and keyword indictment. The Detective Bureau increased that amount up to $10,000 in this case. And for his portion, a conviction is required. Not optional, it is required. He has to be sentenced and convicted on those crimes first before the McDonald's worker receives that reward. So maybe snitching on the person who's doing the American public justice next time is not the best idea.
The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's.
Hey, maybe you should just stick to your just put the fries in my bag. Just put the fries in my bag. Guys, listen, at the end of the day, I don't condemn violence. Whether this is the real killer or not, whether we do see some change in our healthcare system or not in the future years, this is a wake-up call for us. We can't really change what happened in the past. We can only change what happens in the future. But what you can do is protect yourself and make a difference for yourself, and make sure you take care of your families and yourself, most importantly, at first. All right, guys. With all that being said, I want to ask you guys what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hey, welcome to the family. My name is Zeke2Fly. I make commentary videos, I do vlogs, and I do interviews on every other week. But I hope you guys enjoy my content. If you like my content, please make sure to give me a like button. But anyways, guys, I wish you guys stay safe out there, and happy holidays to everyone. All right, take care, guys.